welcome back to another episode of Keep It on the DL. Alongside me, as always, is Lou Angelillo. And we got a special guest tonight. Gonna talk some bubble, gonna talk some Knickerbocker basketball. We got Anthony Tucciarone. Tucci, what's going on, my man? How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. Excited to join.
Yeah, all right, cool, Tucci. So thank you again. But we'll get right to it. We got all major sports going on, pretty much, except the NFL.
We're back. Times are great again.
Exactly.
Like in 4 days. Couldn't be happier.
And exactly.
My bookie could feed his family again. Things are back to normal. We're growing.
Yeah, the money's flowing through FanDuel. It's feeling nice. But give me your take, Suits. We'll start off with the Knicks real quick. Give us your take on the Thibodeau hire.
With the Thibodeau hire, I mean, I denounced my fandom of the Knicks once they hired Thibodeau. It was the most predictable thing you can imagine. This team's a broken record the last 20 years. They go with the safe, not going to turn any heads, not going to raise any questions, but this guy has a track record, albeit carried by Derrick Rose back in the day, whom I could have coached to an Eastern Conference Finals, no problem. I mean, it's pretty nauseating. I would have liked to – I need the organization to get some balls. Kenny Atkinson was out there, and he, I feel, at least over-accomplished with the Nets. Yeah, they had, D'Angelo Russell. They were fine, and it was the East. They only made, the 8th seed. It was a first-round exit, whatever. But, you gotta take a risk every here and there. You see that it's a constant theme in the NBA where we're just playing it safe. You see this come around draft time, and you just see this with consistent coaching hires. We'll go back in just recent Knicks history. David Fizdale, a guy that underperformed with the Grizzlies. You had Kurt Rambis not turning any heads. He's been an assistant forever. Then you had Jeff Hornacek, who underachieved with the Suns when he came from the Suns. It's just, they're afraid to do something out of the ordinary. When you have you have other sports like football where, extraordinary is being rewarded and embraced. So you have guys like Cliff Kingsbury, who's coming up and he's leading a potent offense in the NFL. And you have McVay coming in, revamping the NFL offenses in explosive fashion. And you just have the NBA, especially the Knicks, just being a broken record of recycling old veterans that don't work out. Giving these guys supermax contracts who don't deserve any of it. It's nauseating, so I'm going to go out and say I'm not a Knicks fan for a little bit. I know it was a little misleading in the beginning, being the Knicks correspondent, but I'm going to have to take the Stephen A. Smith narrative here, where it's just painstaking to see the same mistakes over and over. I have no expectations for Tom Thibodeau, so he can only overachieve with me. But, I mean, you want to start with the NBA. Draft lottery system being broken. The whole sport's broken.
So, Toops, let me ask you, I got two questions. First one is, what would you have thought of a Jeff Van Gundy or Mark Jackson hire here for the Knicks?
God.
Would that have been better?
Oh, God. No, that wouldn't have been better. I mean, it's the same thing of just recycling old talent. What I hate about Jeff Van Gundy, I mean, we had him back in the day. Sure, he was fine, but I hate him on TV too, and I hate Mark Jackson on TV. Mark Jackson could have won with Steph Curry. Oh, well, what are we going to give him a chance with? I mean, R.J. Barrett, who couldn't even smell Steph Curry's socks. Well, what do you expect with that kind of hire? Van Gundy, I mean, I'm sitting here and I watch NBA primetime, and he's just nauseating. He hates basketball more than I hate basketball, and he wasn't in it. He is miserable. So the sport is just killing me lately with how predictable it could be. Everyone knew Mark Jackson was going to get some interviews, and everyone knew Van Gundy was going to be floated around. I mean, what have we got to keep clinching to Jeff Van Gundy for? He was fine back in the day. That's it. You don't have to keep going back to the broken record.
All right.
He was a 500 coach.
I'll trust you. So,
I mean, I'd like to say I trust myself, but
the second question I had
too often. Go ahead.
Was, I mean, we saw the, Giants fans going to, I'm not sure your football team, but Giants fans going into the season with no coach was expecting, the Matt LaFleur Baylor hire, someone known, someone that they would like and know, and they went a 360, but they went with Joe Judge, and I think every Giant fan can see that reason why they went with him, and it was just, and every Giant fan is pretty excited to see what he's going to bring to this team. So the question to you is, what hire would you compare this to in any sport, really? What hire do you compare this to, and what is a basketball Joe Judge coach look like?
Yeah, that's a good follow-up, Lou. So, I mean, with the NFL, you see a lot of just regurgitation of people trying to take the Bill Belichick coaching tree, and that stems all the way from what, like the Bill Parcells coaching tree and the Andy Reid coaching tree, where now you're seeing like a Sean McVay kind of coaching tree, and anyone that had any association with him go and get a job. That's the like Bill Lazor on the Bengals right now, who a lot of people have some expectations for the Bengals this year, which I think would be pretty cool. I'm a big Joe Burrow guy, but that's besides the point. So to address, so I'd say like a similar like Joe Judge hire out of to compare to maybe another sport. I'd say like maybe like I don't know, because he's got like a coaching tree. So I'd probably say like Mike Woodson right now. He didn't get hired yet, but he was the assistant of the Warriors. Or okay, here's an even better one. Here's Luke Walton. Luke Walton has no business going and taking over the Kings job this year. Yeah, okay, scratch that. Not the Mike Woodson. Luke Walton, that's a great answer, man. Let me pat myself on the back, because I'm somewhat of a passionate Kings fan, too. So when you just hop off of the Knicks bandwagon so much, you start going over to the Kings, you start going to, like, Atlanta Hawks. But Luke Walton, assistant coach for the Warriors, gets the call up to the Lakers with LeBron James. I mean, we know LeBron runs his coaches out of town, but he had no business coaching LeBron James with no experience as a head coach. And then he comes along, runs them right into the ground, runs their young core right into the ground, ships them out of town. And look what Brandon Ingram's doing right now. Most improved player candidate. So he goes, doesn't even make the playoffs with LeBron. Sure, LeBron was hurt. And Lonzo Ball, by the way, who I'm a big fan of. So then he gets hired. Sure, we'll regurgitate the pick again. The Kings go and get him after the Kings were sniffed in the playoffs in 2018. Comes in, does absolutely nothing for the team this year. De'Aaron Fox gets hurt. They fall off the rails a little bit. He puts Buddy Hield on the bench, who was, potential all-star / very good sixth man last year. Hasn't been playing bench minutes now. Killing me. So just seeing like the regurgitation and just being afraid to take risks, I don't think it gets you anywhere, and that's why you have such a stagnant kind of franchise like how the Knicks are now too.
Gosh, so you're comparing, Luke Walton being bounced around the league to the hire of Tibbs.
Yeah. So I think Luke Walton is obviously one of the ones that's most recent memory, but Tibbs obviously just came from the Timberwolves and the Bulls as well, so he's been constantly coaching, at least as a head coach. Luke Walton came as just an assistant straight off the Warriors. Like Luke Walton made Steph Curry the greatest shooter of all time. Like people are just taking these leaps and bounds. Like just because I'm hanging out with Albert Einstein all the time, that means I got to have a 180 IQ. I don't understand that. I understand you surround yourself with smart people, but I work in a pretty smart company, and I am not one of them. Let me tell you.
So my last, input here on the situation is, in a weird way, I know, you always think that they hire coaches to bring in the players, right? You got to get the coach to like the players when guys become free agent. And obviously, I think the free agent class is 2021 might be the greatest ever in the history of basketball. There's so many free agents come 2021. So in a weird way, I would have been interested and intrigued to see Jason Kidd as the coach and really seeing if he would have been able to bring in Giannis. So did that cross your mind at all?
I mean, sure, it crossed my mind, but let's not forget we also thought we were going to get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. And when I say we, that does not include me, because being a longtime Knicks fan, you had no expectation getting Kyrie.
I mean, you're not going to expect that until it actually happens. It's like it's similar to the Mets bullpen being good. You're not going to see it until it actually happens.
Yeah, like prove me wrong.
Right.
So when you set such low expectations, it's really hard to be a letdown, but consistently they are a letdown. So with the 2021 NBA free agency, it is a good one. I'm not looking at any of the top names. I'm looking more like, DeMar DeRozan, I guess we could say is a top name. I'm also just a big fan of his. We need like someone like an off the ball, but you could get the ball to basket kind of guy. Because we still have RJ, who I guess we're going to have to run at point, but when the ball comes in, we're handing him the reins to point guard. I'm fully ready to give LaMelo
best case scenario, right?
Oh, best case scenario is the Wiseman.
I still think they're going to take LaMelo, even if they get any top pick. They're going to try to get LaMelo.
Well, let me revamp again on how the NBA is just shooting itself in the foot all over again. So, what was it? Just last lottery draft, I believe the Pelicans had 32 wins, and the Memphis Grizzlies had 33 wins. The New York Knicks had 17 wins, and yet the Pelicans and the Grizzlies both drafted ahead of the New York Knicks in that draft. They hand them over Zion and Ja Morant, and that sets back our franchise another 3 years at least.
Don't get me started. I don't want to hear any excuse about lotteries right now, Tooch.
No lotteries. Yeah, yes, I understand the hockey. Listen, I'll tell you, Devin, this playoff hockey is really rubbing off on me. You got the NBA bubble beat. I'll give you that.
Absolutely, by a long shot. Continue.
But with just basketball, evening out like that, because there's 5 basketball players on the court at one time, and there's one ball. It's a individual sport where one player is making the difference like that. You can't set us back like that for years to come. So then we got to go. We settle for RJ. Sure, he was a high.
You got to remember, this kid's. I think he just celebrated his 20th birthday. Like, this kid is still young.
We're rolling out, 18-year-old kids just coming. Some of these kids straight out of high school. Some of these kids from.
We got to be harder on Kevin Knox than RJ Barrett right now.
I'll set it back another year. You want to go?
We could talk about this all day, but we got to get into the bubble. Let's go into the bubble now. So, like you just said, NHL bubble is blowing the NBA bubble away. I thought the NHL did an amazing job with how they configured everything, and the NBA kind of wanted to have this regular season where you see the Suns go 8-0. And they're out of it. It's like, thanks for coming. You did everything we asked you to do, and you're still leaving. Like, why would you invite them if they could win out in this?
I don't know. No, that's a great question. I think the NBA needed to get kind of like their sea legs back. They needed to get some hype under their wings. So I think it actually could have went as great as it could have gone with Devin Booker and Damian Lillard putting on the shows. But then you hit the brakes right away with that, with us going back to these first round matchups, and we got to go watch the Bucks blow out the Magic tomorrow. I think the Lakers will sweep the Blazers, who are got to be exhausted by now. What other? I
Raptors and Nets.
Like, some of these games will be competitive, but I think most of them should be gentlemen's sweeps. I mean, with the NBA, I just think it's really a 2-team, maybe 3-team race with Clippers, Lakers, and Bucks. I think maybe the Raptors will get sneaky in there, and I like the Heat a little bit. But it's a very, I think, predictable sport. Like, sure, we'll have these, all you need to watch is like the last 5 minutes going down the line. But hockey, fast pace, these guys are still fighting. They're still throwing hands. They're dropping gloves, no problem. We had, 5-6 overtimes in that Lightning game the other day?
Five.
Much funner to watch. Much funner to watch, at least for me. And that's someone I'm like a bandwagon hockey fan, but more, I'd say, an actual NBA fan where I watch throughout the season. And to, an important time when people are so deprived of sports and need something, I think the eyes are probably going to be going over the hockey.
It's fine with me. I mean, the NHL, they always do everything right somehow. And I think the one problem that the NBA did is, in my opinion, was still have a mini regular season. You know, they should have just done a 2014 playoff like the NBA or like the NHL, did the whole round robin thing. It worked out perfectly. You have playoff basketball off the bat, you know, and like you said, Tucha or Lou, one of you guys, Suns went 8-0. They were predicted to go 0-8 on Bleacher Report. They went 8-0. They did all they had to do, and they couldn't even get a spot. So what was the point of even going in?
Yeah, I hear you, Devin.
Yep.
But so, talking from at least to what I've been seeing the last week with just the NBA, what's killing me, these flagrant fouls. They got that. The sport is broken with the flagrant foul rule. They can challenge now, and these challenges are the same thing in football, where they'll challenge a foul and it looks clearly like a foul, and they're not going to overturn it because every play is a foul. But you go over to hockey, and it's just nonstop action. I can barely track the puck, but we're getting bodies laid all over the place. We're getting good teams putting up struggling with some of these lesser seeds. I don't know any of them. I don't know any of the players. I don't know any of their advantages, but it looks like everyone's slated equal throughout. And what was this, last year with the St. Louis Blues, who were not even supposed to make the playoffs, and they were the last seed, and they won the Stanley Cup? That's the what's the word for it?
Underdog?
Magic. The improbability you need in the sport. You know, something that's just not so predictable and chalk like we're going to have with the NBA, where it's either going to be the Clippers or the Lakers. You know?
Right. I mean, there's never any need for a 1 versus 8 matchup to be 7 games in the NBA. It's never needed.
It's never going to happen.
Never needed. You don't even need that series. You can make it a 3-game series. That's how pointless that series
Right.
is.
Yeah, and I don't care how deprived of sports that I am. Even when I'm gambling on these games, I'll put on the last 4 minutes if it's a close game. I watch the last 4 minutes of the Celtics-Sixers game. Last 4 minutes goes on for a half hour. The refs can't hold on to the whistle. Foul shots every 2 seconds. Stupid turnovers. Marcus Smart's gonna have the lowest basketball IQ I've ever seen. I mean, tough. And now with
No, J.R. Smith has the lowest basketball IQ I've ever seen.
up to a past Nick legend right there. Relax.
No.
You gotta understand, I have nothing else to cling on to. J.R. Smith was one of my peaks.
Jeremy Lin was your peak, okay?
Jeremy Lin was my peak.
There you go.
I was in Madison Square Garden 2 years ago, slightly maybe 10, 15 rows from the court, and it's like a 25-point blowout in the fourth quarter. Jeremy Lin comes in, and all the people are already at the early exits, and Jeremy Lin's on the free throw line. I scream at him, "Jeremy, we miss you," and I got the smirk out of him.
Nice.
Did him so wrong. All right? Well, why do you think these free agents are going to want to come to the Knicks? Who the hell wants to?
Well, that's what I was saying about the coach. Bringing in the coach to try to get the right free agent.
Mecca it's the has-been. It's not a thing anymore. No one wants to come to the Knicks. New York City's a dump.
Well, let me say something real quick about coming to the Knicks. I think the major problem, aside from being the most disorganized organization in basketball and maybe even in all sports, aside from the Mets, James Dolan is the problem. I don't think either of you guys would disagree with me.
You're right there. We didn't hit on that. But yes, James Dolan's absolutely the problem.
He's an easy target. He's an easy target. I'll give you that. But
no, but he's the problem. Nobody wants to come play for James Dolan. They really don't. This is a guy that throws his own fans out of the arena.
Yeah, I know. Charles, not even Charles Oakley.
Yeah, and fans.
Knicks legend got thrown out as well.
And a fan that yelled at him, "Sell the team," is now banned from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
Okay, come on.
You'll see me on the New York Post one day with I'll have the brown paper bag over my head. You'll see cops carrying me out because I was cursing out James Dolan.
That's the way to go.
I understand coaches, maybe don't want to coach for him, but the NBA draft lottery fucked us a little bit. But I think it's just, a little bit to do with James Dolan, where coaches don't want to coach for him. He, wants too much of a stronghold on basketball operations, so he brings in, kind of these feeble guys like Steve Mills was. But then you have Phil Jackson, who came in and did nothing. So there's just no consistency with this team. I think you got to obviously sell the team, but it's not going to happen. But he's just got to lay off the brakes and just give Leon Rose the free reign. Then Leon Rose is going to come in. He's going to go trade for not trade. He's going to go sign Carmelo Anthony.
I mean, I would like that's probably the only good thing. Melo could retire as a Knick.
We're going to bring the veteran presence. So we're going to have 18-year-olds playing with a nice 35-year-old Carmelo Anthony.
Who cares? If one of these players if the team's not for real, then I don't care.
Well, yeah,
Mitchell Robinson's for real. I mean, he feel like he barely played.
If the team is not competitive, why bother? But the NBA cares because the NBA needs the Knicks more than the Knicks need the NBA. These ratings for the NBA, I don't think one of their last primetime games in this bubble broke over 1 million views. I think what was it? There was that Tucker Carlson blew him out of the water.
Yes.
Tucker was on the same time as a basketball game. I think Tucker blew him out of the water. And who the hell's watching Tucker at prime time?
That's true.
So that's bad to say, but I think the NBA needs the Knicks because it's just the easy scapegoat for everyone. The team wins 17 games and they're still on the front page of everything.
Yep, you're right. You're absolutely right about that. So give us your last thoughts here before we let you go.
I think the Jets are going to be a competitive football team this year.
That's what I like to hear, Tooch.
We bring him on to talk Knicks NBA. The final thought is the Jets are going to be okay this year.
That's it, baby.
Rashad Perryman, Arnold touch, the perfect throw.
Oh my goodness, Jameis Winston's better than Darnold. He's getting better balls from Winston than he would Darnold. Rashad Perryman,
great quarterback.
He called him Leonardo da Vinci.
A 60-yard pick is just as good as a punt. You got to understand that.
It's true. All right, so now that I know you're a Jets guy, so Tibbs or Gase?
Oh God. I'd rather me sitting on the Knicks bench and Devin White holding the clipboard. Honestly.
Give me a pick, Tibbs or Gase.
You can't do that to him. Come on.
You got to keep one.
Oh God, yeah, that's tough. Adam Gase made the playoffs with the Dolphins.
Oh my God.
You don't even want to give Tibbs.
God-awful.
You don't even want to give Tibbs a chance, man. That's crazy.
I mean, at least we have a quarterback. We don't have anything with the Knicks.
You got RJ, who could be. Who's going to develop.
We have Mitchell Robinson. That's about it. And the guy can't stay on the court for more than 5 minutes without fouling out.
Yeah. Those are other issues for another day. Tooch, we appreciate having you on. Thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Hey, we'd love to come on anytime, boys. I love vamping with you guys. Good talk.
Thank you, Tucci.
All right, be good, fellas.
See ya. Well, from one bubble to another, we're going to hop right into the NHL. And as Tooch was talking about, the NHL bubble is just completely different than the NBA bubble. In so many ways, it is so electrifying. Everything is happening. It really feels like they hit the ground running. It feels like playoff hockey as far as most of the players go and the games and everything. As a hockey fan, you cannot not love this. Personally, I mean, it's still weird to me that I'm watching hockey on August 17th. I still cannot wrap my head around it, but I'll tell you right now, Lou, I really do not hate the idea of this. Obviously, it's not here to stay, but I'm soaking it all in. I'm all about it.
I enjoy it too. It's great. They nailed it. They did it right. I thought NBA could have done something for the tournament here, but a tournament style thing to change it up, and they had the opportunity, but they didn't. But NHL crushed it. They nailed it. They got everything they wanted, including if there was all the teams that lost, if they weren't going for the first pick, it really wouldn't have been as entertaining. Obviously, we know who got that first pick, that being the New York Rangers. The good guys got the first pick overall. So a lot of things to look forward to there. They can maybe sign a defenseman. I'm not really sure who's free agent, but bring in a big defenseman to help that front line, and they're good. They're golden.
Yeah, well, I feel like we can't talk NHL without me.
Without you, what?
going into this. Without me going into this pick.
No.
Without going into the lottery. So, it really ruined my week. I could not go to sleep that morning.
I almost got an unfollow from
tonight. Yeah, you were close. In my own podcast was
all we did was
Twitter.
confirm. All the podcast did was confirm.
Well, that's all we do is confirm. You know, we break news here. We break news here. Oh my God! But from a hockey standpoint, and listen, Lou, I've gone on. I'm not a crybaby. I'm not gonna bitch and complain left and right, say how it's unfair. I mean, the Devs have won the lottery 2 out of the past 3 years. Well, now I guess technically 4, which is unbelievable. You know, you get cornerstones for the franchise. Like I said when this first started, I feel bad for the Ottawas and the Detroits and the Kings and the Ducks of the world, even the Sabres. You know, I mean, the Devs have enough to build upon where they have Mackenzie Blackwood, where they can really start to build from the back. They're going to really have to. They got 3 draft picks of their own, including a number 7 pick in a very deep draft. I just think that this was totally rigged in one way or another. Not necessarily to favor the Rangers. I think it was rigged in the fact that obviously they needed more viewership and to get money back from this whole thing and money talks. I just cannot believe that a team as deep as the Oilers, the Penguins, the Rangers, I mean, you had 3 high-quality teams that were going to have a chance to get the number 1 pick, let alone Alexis Lafreniere, who is the consensus number 1 pick, is considered a generational talent. Nobody is near Connor McDavid, but pretty comparable to Austin Matthews.
He was getting the Crosby comparison.
You know. Yeah, he was, because he was the first player since Crosby to win the MVP and the Q in back-to-back years. So, I mean, that just speaks about what kind of player the Rangers are going to get. And
it's only going to help. It's only going to help him playing alongside Panarin too, who apparently is one of his idols.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it's crazy. And don't forget, I mean, the Rangers just drafted Capo Caco,
who really didn't have a great year.
I mean, no, but it was his first year in the NHL. It's a big jump for everybody. It's a big jump for everybody. You cannot measure that. You know, I mean, he's a stud too. He's a diamond in the rough. The Rangers, as if they weren't accelerating their
rebuild,
their thank you, Lou. Their rebuild enough. This just, I don't even want to say puts them on the fast track. I don't even think that there's a word. I think that this will immediately put them in contention to even win the division, in my opinion, next year. In a very, very competitive division in the Metropolitan, which in a lot of people's eyes is the most competitive in all of hockey. They're going to be thrown right into the mix. Lafreniere is going to give them an immediate impact. And my God, as a Devil fan, does this absolutely kill me. I feel dead inside. I can't even talk about it. I'm not even going to watch the draft. I'm really not. I don't know how I'm going to ignore this, because I'm just beat up.
I mean, it was the best case scenario for the Rangers. Either they would win, they would move on, they keep going, or they lose and get the number 1 pick. So we got the second best thing. So you got to be pretty happy if you're a Ranger fan after all this. You got to see your team play, even though it was 3 games, they lost all of them, but you got to see him play, and then you get the number 1 pick. So you can see that the games that they're going to end up winning next year, not losing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, as far as the actual games go, I mean, like we said, I mean, it's phenomenal. Both in the East and West, the NHL bubble is working. Nobody has tested positive up until this point. You have some surprise teams like the Canadiens beating the Penguins. You have the Islanders right now that are up 3-0 against the Capitals, which is amazing. The Blackhawks finally got a game under their belt there behind Vegas 3-1. Even Vancouver surprisingly up against the Blues 2-1 right now. But Game 4 is progressing. They're just tied 0-0 as we speak.
I think that.
But Two of the big...
Two of the big what? You're going to say surprises? Because I was going to say my biggest surprise is the Isles right now, with 3-0 over the Caps, making it look easy.
Yeah, they really are making it easy. I mean, they're a very deep team. They are a gritty team. It's amazing. I have no hate for the Islanders. God forbid something were to happen to the Devils, I would be an Islander fan in a half a second. I do not hate them. I love watching them play. I'm a big Trotz guy. Of course, you got Lou Lamoriello, the GM, the old Devils GM for way over my entire life, for 28 years. Built those dynasties in the early 2000s for the Devils. But, I mean, the two biggest stories, Lou, I know we were talking about before with the NHL. I mean, that 5 overtime game between the Lightning and the Jackets. What do you think about that? That's amazing. Amazing. They played basically 2 games in one.
I know.
Almost.
They played 2 full games. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost 2 full. Crazy.
Yeah. And the Lightning had 88
and
shots
80,
on goal.
86 of them were saved. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Now, I was bummed. I mean, I was in Maine all week, so I was really off the grid with sports. But, I mean, I was tracking on my phone, and I was like, get out of here. Like, I really could not believe my eyes. It's cool. But good for these guys. It's got to be tough having a, 5-month layoff and then playing playoff hockey. But these guys look like they have not missed a beat at all.
No.
Absolutely.
But let's get to the big storyline here. Was Bruins goalie Tuukka Rask not playing, opted out. I mean, I'd be very surprised if this is due to COVID, I guess, because I would not understand that because of how good COVID's been in the bubble. So you kind of hope everything else is all right with him. I'd be surprised if he's opting out over COVID now. But and another alert that we saw was maybe family members coming back from the conference finals, but we'll get into that more when the time comes. But maybe Tuukka seeing this maybe has him opt back in. I mean, this is the biggest goaltender you have here. I was talking to a buddy at work, and he was like, comparing it to like a big pitcher going down, someone of an Aroldis Chapman closer role type pitcher or a Max Scherzer starting role type pitcher going and opting out.
Yeah, he's 100% right. He hit the nail on the head. This is a huge loss for the Bruins, a team that doesn't even have, arguably, in my opinion, their best offensive weapon on the ice right now in David Pastrnak. He's been out the past 3 games with an undisclosed, I believe they're saying a lower body injury for him. But this is huge for the Bruins. They do have a very capable backup in Jaroslav Halak, who does have playoff experience with the Islanders most recently back in 2015. But those are very big shoes to fill. A Vezina candidate in Tuukka Rask, who really, he's been a little awkward in the bubble. And, I mean, if it's for his family, please, by all means. I mean, you have to be understanding of these things. But to me, personally, something's a little fishy here. I believe it was at the end of Game 2. He was very outspoken in saying how these games feel like exhibition games, and he just could not get into it mentally. Maybe he's using that as a cop-out, but at the same time, if you do have a family, it's a long time. You're away from your wife and kids. You don't see them. They can't get into the bubble until if they make it to the conference finals in about 4 or 5 weeks. It's a long time, and maybe he could come back potentially, but it's going to hurt. It's definitely going to hurt the Bruins, and Halak really has to stand on his head.
Yeah. I mean, it is a shocker. It is a shocker, but we hope, everything's okay with him. And, I think, hockey fans want to see him opt back in if possible here. So.
Right. Of course. Yeah, but I mean that's the NHL for the most part. We're in the, I guess you can call them the quarterfinals right now. But next up, we're going to talk some NFL. We have some pretty cool news coming out of Washington today. Lou, what do you got?
Yeah, the Washington football team finally has some good news, some better news coming out of their organization here. They hired Jason Wright to be their team president. That is the first African American black president in the NFL. So that's a plus. I mean, you have this organization that's definitely been scrutinized, and Dan Snyder being scrutinized for, questionable decisions and, maybe racial tendencies. So hiring, this maybe put that to bed. I don't know. Still maybe be kind of scrutinized. But Jason Wright, I did a little bit of research on him, and he is very smart. He has an MBA from let me look this up again, but I'm forgetting where it was from, but he was very qualified. He wasn't just some no name that was thrown into spot strictly because of his race. He's not too old. He's not one of these older, 60-year-old, 70-year-old presidents, but he definitely seems like he can be the right man for this job. I would prefer him not being there just because of the color of his skin. I do believe he's there because they think he's going to be a good job, do a good job, and lead this football team to success.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, but I mean, well, yeah, for the most part. I mean, I don't even know what to call them. Washington? I was going to say the Redskins.
You can say Washington, or you can just say the football team.
The football team.
Although people won't know what we're talking about if they listen to
good.
this in 2 years from now. They'll be like, the football team.
Yeah, right. The football team.
He was in the NFL for 7 years with the Niners, Falcons, Browns, and Cardinals as well. Here we go. His MBA, University of Chicago, got his MBA from there.
Wow. Yeah, so he's a smart guy. I mean, the football team. That's what I'm going to call him because I love that.
You got to embrace it.
The football team. Yeah, you have to. You have to. I mean, they definitely need some good news, and this is good for them, and it's good for them to really start building a positive culture. And with everything going on, this is the perfect place to start. And for me, I mean, it comes down to somebody who is who is qualified for the job. And Jason Wright seems like he was more than qualified for the job, and rightfully deserves the position for sure. So
yeah, and
the Redskins,
the football team,
Washington,
the football team,
the football team. The football team, they obviously need a culture change big time, and this is a step in the right direction.
He's also I was going to say quick. He is the youngest team president in NFL history at 38 years old,
which is cool too. I mean, that goes a long way and speaks volumes about him as well.
Yes,
I mean, there's a lot of good news coming out of Washington down in D.C. today with Alex Smith coming off the physically unable to perform list.
Yes, we got Alex Smith's back. I saw the video of his family being happy and popping champagne when he came out and got the call that he was clear for football activities. Just awesome. I mean, this would be like Joe Theismann coming back. This guy's knee was crushed. They thought they would have to amputate this leg at some point. No one. I don't think Alex Smith could be close to half the player that he was, before this. But I mean, with Dwayne Haskins there, if Dwayne Haskins just can't develop or something happens there, I mean, Alex Smith might be the second guy in. Remember, Colt McCoy is on the Giants now. He's not on the Redskins to throw in there after Haskins. Alex Smith is on the roster there. So I mean, I would love to see Alex get Yes, a series would be nice to see him come back and play, but all claps for Alex Smith right now.
All claps for Alex Smith, and he's a down-to-earth guy. He's always said the right things, acted the right way, always acted like a professional. And even going back to his Niner days with Kaepernick taking his job and a lot of controversy surrounding that with, again, another injury that sidelined him. But, I mean, my God, credit to him because I don't know how I would even look at a football field after this injury. I have no idea. You know, it's the same thing. I mean, I love Shark Week, so I try to get glued to it as much as I can. And it was this past week, and I think that it was something Prey was what the show was called, but it was talking about these people who got attacked by sharks and lost limbs. You know, these people lost legs and arms and everything. But they went right back to the activity they were doing 6 or 7 months later,
Right.
which is amazing. I don't know how you go in the water after that. You know, it's the same type of thing. I mean, if you have a love for the game, or if you ever had a love for a game and you wanted to show people, this is definitely the way to do it. And I'm very, very happy that he's coming off the PUP list.
Yeah, great to see. We got other news here with the NFL. A couple new contracts for tight ends. Kelsey gets a 4-year, $57 million extension, and George Kittle a 5-year, $75 million extension. If you're wondering which one's bigger, it is George Kittle by just under $1 million a year. But if you ask me who's better, I might say Kelsey is. But if I was also Kelsey, I'd take a pay cut to play with Pat Mahomes. Not that $57 million is a pay cut, but it's less than what he could be getting out there on the market. So those are your two tight end contract updates.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, very deserving by both guys. They're the best tight ends in football, and it's not even close. Drafting one of these guys on your fantasy team will make the difference, as tight ends are at a premium. And, I mean, these guys are basically wide receiver ones on both of their teams, and I'm sure you can agree with me, Lou. So, I mean, Kittle is the younger tight end and has the longer future, as it turns out right now. But Kelsey, now a Super Bowl champion with the best quarterback in the league, and he could do everything too. So, very deserving on both ends.
Definitely. And last pieces of NFL news: Giants signed Graham Gano, the man who kicked a 63-yard field goal against them 2 years ago. I haven't forgot it. I was at work for it. It was one of the first Sundays I worked. At work, I went upstairs to the break room. I was like, oh, let me catch the end of this game. Everything looked good, and bam, there was a terrible first down call in the game right before he kicked the field goal too. It was a third down, or it might have even been fourth down, and they marked it a first down when they were definitely a yard short. I remember it all. Graham Gano comes running out on the field with 11 seconds left. He gets the kickoff, and it just makes it over the crossbar. So now he's ours. Hopefully he can kick some 63-yarders for the Giants now. And this was just after they signed Catanzaro, and I guess they weren't crazy on him. He was just an emergency kind of thing, and then they went out and got Graham Gano, which makes me feel like Stephen Gostkowski might retire. You might see Gostkowski retire. I don't know if anyone's going to come pick him up, or maybe his back was still hurt, or leg or back. One of those parts of his body was hurt. So the Giants got a new kicker. Not huge news, but some news. I don't think you need to chime in on that. It's just the Giants and the kicker. But Cowboys lost their best interior D lineman, Gerald McCoy, to a quadricep tear that's going to need surgery. So the Cowboys' defensive line just got hurt big time. I don't think it's season impacting, but it's definitely defensive line impacting. Someone's going to need to step up and fill that void for the Cowboys.
Big time, yeah. I mean, anytime you lose a guy on the line on either side of the ball, it's a big loss. But apparently, for what I'm not too versed with the Cowboys' defense, to be honest with you, as far as depth goes. But one of my friends in my fantasy chat in our league is a diehard Cowboy fan. He said, "I'm not worried at all. Yes, it's a big loss, but we are very deep on the defensive line and very deep on the defensive side of the ball." So. That's pretty much all I know.
Right, it's a big piece. It's a defensive line loss. It's not a team. That's why I said it's not a team impacting loss. But as we all know, the Cowboys' track record, just an accident waiting to happen. They're not going to do anything again this year. You can bet on that.
Yeah.
It's going to go wrong. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong for the Dallas Cowboys.
Will go wrong.
Period.
Yes, sir.
So we got final thing here on the NFL,
Yeah,
right?
final
What 20?
thing, yeah.
We're trying to get fans. Casey announced that they're going to have fans. It's up to the NFL governors and cities to determine what they want to do. So Missouri, not St. Sorry, I don't know why I said St. Louis. Kansas City is going to have 22% capacity. I'm not sure the reason behind 22%. Maybe that's their feeling of everyone being 6 feet apart. They can fit 22% if everyone's 6 feet apart. Maybe have them mandatory masks on entry, and then once they're in the seat, maybe you can allow them to take off the mask once everyone's away and out of distance. So, yeah, I mean, why not? I think it's great. I think you need some kind of fans there. I don't think 22% is really going to affect the other team's offense when they get loud. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see what other teams are going to follow this.
Yeah, I don't. Again, if you sign a waiver, and even if you have everybody 6 feet apart, exactly what the NASCAR is doing, I don't see what the problem is. You're outdoors, first of all, most of the time. I don't think there's a dome team anymore since the Rams are.
No, there's
in
dome
LA.
teams. I mean, Dallas is a dome. There's plenty of domes. The
you could say
Falcons
that's
are a
open
dome. The
air.
Saints are a dome. There are plenty of domes.
Yeah, but they're not domes.
Dev, if you're
anymore.
playing indoors,
they're
you're in a dome.
Open air stadiums.
Well, you have the option to open the roof.
Open
Like
air
Arizona
stadiums.
has the option to open the roof. I think the Falcons have an option to open the roof, but the Saints don't.
The Falcons do.
Yeah, I think the Falcons do.
Oh, right,
the Saints do
right,
not.
Yes.
But yeah, most
you're
of
right.
them have the option to open, but most of them like
Most
to
of them
keep
have
it
the
closed
option, yeah.
because of crowd noise. But maybe without crowd noise being a factor this year, you'll see more open.
Of course, yeah. I mean, and if you can do the whole 6 feet thing, and if you want to go to a game, why not? And I was thinking this when I first saw the story, Lou. I think this decision was made purely based on the fact that it was their first Super Bowl victory, and they want fans in the
Hey,
stadium.
I agree with.
Which I
I
understand.
mean, it's heartbreaking for the
Especially
Nationals
Chiefs.
this year not to have any fans there after their first
Yeah.
one as well.
Right, exactly. Well, this isn't the Chiefs' first one, but obviously, I mean, it feels like their first
Yeah,
one since
since I'm
it
alive,
was way
it's their
before
first
our
one.
lifetimes. Exactly. And I actually just did the math, Lou. 22 Arrowhead holds 76,416 people. 22% of that gives you just shy of 17,000. It gives you 16,800.
So would you say their max capacity was?
It's 76,416. And with the 22% capacity, it ends up being 16,812 fans.
If you round up.
Decent amount. If you round
I had to
round
check
up
your
by
math, Dev. I don't know if I
fan.
trust you. I did double check your math.
Yeah, double check it. Listen, if this is true, I am going to Arrowhead November 1st. Mark it down.
They play the
I
Jets
will
November 1st?
Find somebody to go with. They play the Jets out in Arrowhead November 1st, which I've always wanted to see.
Are the
a game
hockey
on
playoffs going to be
anyway.
over by November 1st?
I believe so. I think by October.
Oh, all right. Because, I'm not going to have baseball, I think, will be over as well. So my hours might be cut at work again for another month because we're going to have no baseball or hockey. Like we normally do have hockey now in November, but now we're not. So now I'm probably going to lose some more shifts. But
Yeah.
maybe I can make it out to Arrowhead on the 1st. I could maybe make the trip.
Let's go.
I'm going to bring my
in the
Giants
Arrowhead
jersey
parking
though,
lot.
just because if I can't go with Giants game, I got to wear something.
Yeah, I know you do. You gotta be
Yeah,
that
I'll-
guy. I'll hold you to
I'll
that.
root for
Lou.
my
I'm
fantasy
in.
players. I won't root for any team in particular.
Fine.
I will root for my fantasy players. But breaking news, I'm not going to have any Jets players. Yeah, I'm
You sure
probably
about
not going
that?
to draft any Jets.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be week 8 by that point. So or week
The
7.
only player I might
Lot can
draft
change.
would be like a 13th round Denzel Mims, just in case.
Okay,
That'd be
Alright.
about it.
I'll take it. That's the most positive
That'd be
thing I've
about
ever
it.
heard you say about my Jets. So fine.
But I'm
Oh,
going to hit you.
boy.
I'm going to hit you with this now before because I don't want it to get
Yes.
old news. But that player on the Seahawks that tried to sneak in his girl or some random Tinder girl, who knows what it was, trying to sneak her in as a football player up to his room, got caught. Pete Carroll said, "Yeah, I'm not tolerating this. See you later." I mean, if you want to be in the NFL, dude, be smarter. Be smarter. You can't be doing this. No, you don't see veteran. If you don't see veteran guys doing it, then you should definitely not be doing it. Just a dumb move. I agree with cutting him. I don't know if you do, but I do. If you're trying to make the team, you're trying to make the team, and you're going to bring in like controversy like that. Like, no, just it's easier to just say goodbye.
Listen, I respect this dude's game. Considering everything that's going on, and the one thing you're not supposed to be doing, he's doing, trying to get away with it. Like, my man was determined to bring this girl up, have a good time, Netflix and chill a little bit, grab some Ben and Jerry's pints, chill the hotel bed. I mean, that's a night. That is a night up in Seattle. I mean, personally, should he have done it? Absolutely not. It was the most boneheaded mistake of boneheaded mistakes. Like, come on, dude, be smarter than that. But did he have to get cut?
I think so. You got to set a tone, and guess what? What if this guy was already like, guys, we could really just send this guy home anyway, and he goes and does something like this, then see ya. I mean, you're not sending home Russell Wilson. You're not sending home DK Metcalf. You're sending home some guy that's probably trying to make the team, and you don't want stupid people on your football team. This shows bad judgment, shows bad character, and I don't want that guy on my football team. I completely agree with cutting him.
I mean, I understand the thought process, and I could get behind it. I just think right now, I think it was a little too premature.
No, I don't.
But maybe it had to be done. I mean, now that I think about it, maybe it had to be done.
People that make bad decisions in life will make bad decisions on the football field. It's true. Yeah. Baker doesn't make the best decisions. He's messed up. Johnny Manziel's out of the football league. These people that don't make good decisions tend to carry that over to the football field. So no, I'm not upset that this guy got cut. I do think the story's funny, but no, I'm not. I definitely agree with cutting him.
I love the story. I'm all for it.
Definitely agree with cutting him.
All right, let's move on to the next segment. Last segment for the night. We got to talk about our Yanks, Lou. I mean, I'll start off real quick. How can anybody disagree with us and say that they are not the best team in baseball? Give me a valid argument. No,
I mean, they're definitely the deepest team in baseball, that's for sure. The Dodgers are playing great right now. The A's are also playing great right now, but the A's had to come back against a bad team in the San Francisco Giants. The A's had to come back and pull those wins out of their ass. They had to come back and win those games where you're not going to do that against the bullpen like the Yankees or the Rays in the playoffs. So, yes, they're having some magic right now, but don't expect that to happen in the playoffs if you're the A's. Dodgers are playing great too. And before we get into the Yankees, and I just talked about the A's, Ramon Laureano is going to get a 5-game suspension. Alex Cintron was getting like 20 games because you're a coach. You cannot be egging on a player to do that, especially with COVID going on in the world. Yeah, I mean, so Laureano, 5 games. I'm kind of okay with the 5 games. I believe he's appealing it. I really don't think it's going to be less than 4 because obviously he went over there like a madman. You still can't do that. You still can't, show up the pitcher and tell him how to snap a breaking ball. Like I pitched, you obviously know what you're trying to do. Like there's no need for that. But then obviously there's no need from the Astros dugout as well. So I really don't see the suspension going lower than 4 games. Kelly's got moved down to 5. So I think that's the right range there. I still think that's too much for Kelly. But yeah, Laureano gets 5 games. Alex Cintron gets 20 for that fiasco that happened there in Oakland the other week.
Yeah, that was just completely out of line on the Astros' part.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him for charging him the way he did, especially with what he
No, I'm more
said.
mad
And
that
like
he tried
said,
to show up the pitcher and do that breaking ball thing. I thought that was worse than charging him.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. I actually definitely agree with you with that. But let me just say something. I'm playing the replay in my head, this coach, what was the coach's name again?
Alex Cintron.
Alex Cintron. My man is chirping the guy on first base, but then hides behind 4 different Astros coaches and players. Like, dude, what?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He does. He
Like,
hit
face
right
the
behind
music.
him, and then those players just
Oh, my
slowly
God.
took him down.
It's like Astros 101. They are the worst. They are the worst. Just everything about it.
Yeah, and now they can't win in
stand
games now.
No.
Altuve can't hit.
No, they can't.
Their players, I think only Correa's hitting over 300. Bregman and Springer, too, are not hitting great right now as well.
Nope. No, and I love it.
So good for
I love
them.
the failure.
Gotta love,
Yeah, good for
embrace
them.
the Astros failures.
Embrace the Astro
Definitely.
failure. But I mean, Lou, let me say this too. I mean, I'm looking at the AL. The AL, as of right now, I mean, we still have half the season to go. The AL looks pretty deep. You know, I mean, you look at the AL East. Obviously, you got the Yanks, but you got Tampa. Baltimore's playing some good baseball right now. You look in the Central. The Twins are obviously very good. You still have the White Sox and the Twins. And then out west,
You mean the Indians?
of course. And the Indians, thank you. You got the Indians. And then out west, like you said, Oakland's playing phenomenal baseball right now.
That's it
Comeback
in the
kid.
West for now.
I mean, you still have the Astros.
Yeah, when
Who
Verlander
knows?
comes back, we'll see what they do. They
Yeah.
need Verlander back.
But, I mean-
the guy that was supposed to be out for
Yeah.
the season. So we'll see how fast he can
Yeah.
come back.
Exactly. You realize I'm looking, this is as of August 17th, and the Astros, or the Dodgers in the middle of playing right now. But the Astros have a plus 60 run differential.
You mean minus 60?
Plus 60.
Wait, the Dodgers do.
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers have a plus. What is the Yankees at? It's probably got to be up there.
The
It's got to
Yanks
be in
are-
the 50s.
No, plus 38.
No, what? Then
That's
60 is
right.
outrageous.
That's what I'm saying. 60's outrageous.
How many games?
They've scored in 16 plus 7, so was that 24? 23.
Okay.
23.
And the Yankees have played how
They've
many?
scored 16 plus 6, 22.
Oh, so they're only one game behind them?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm kind of shocked
Yep.
because the Yankees have had some blowouts this year.
The Dodgers have scored 128 runs and have given up 68. The Yankees have scored 125 and have given up 87. Which makes sense. The Yankees are in very high scoring games. Even tonight. What was
Right. I
tonight's
mean, I guess
final
they
score?
win
9-6?
games. Tonight's final score was 6-2.
6-3.
3.
3. Yeah.
Yes, 6-3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I am a little bit surprised that they're that much over the Yankees right now. But I guess you when you win games 11-6 and 10-5, those 6s and 5s add up. When the Dodgers are winning games, 4-2, 6-2, 5-1. Their pitching staff. I mean, their starting pitching staff's definitely got a leg up on the Yankees starting pitching staff right now. We're trying to see Paxton turn that corner. His fastball velocity keeps growing inch by inch as the season goes on. His last 2 starts have been better. You like to see a little more, let him go deeper into the game a little bit now as being the next step. But Paxton is turning that corner. Cole's still been great. He does have the long ball thing where he gives up. He was like 1 a game. He's good to give up a homer. And Hap, you got Hap complaining about missing starts, which I think he's going to end up skipping a start next week too. Because guess what? They got Monday and Thursday off again next week. So I think that they're going to end up skipping Hap's start, who had a decent one against the Red Sox the other day. But I do think they end up skipping him. Montgomery seems to be getting better. He looked great tonight before the rain delay, but his curveball had a lot of bite. His fastball was live. He looked pretty darn good while he had his 3 and 2/3 innings of work, 3 1/3 inning of work tonight.
Yes.
So he looked pretty good. But Tanaka's still working his way back, who looked good his last 2 times out as well. So as long as these Tanakas and Paxton and I guess Montgomery might be your fourth starter in the playoffs. I don't know what they're doing with Clark Schmidt, if they're just not going to use him at all this year for service time reasons. But if those are your four going in there, I'm feeling good. I'm not feeling great. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Yankees going forward. But let's talk about Let's talk about what's going on with the Yankees right now. And we got Judge on the IL, we got Stanton on the IL, we got LeMahieu on the IL. I'll tell you this right now. Stanton's going to be the last one to come off the IL. Judge is going to be back on Saturday against the Mets. And LeMahieu, I'm thinking 10 to 15 days. He's had this injury in the past. So I think he might have tweaked it. It's probably still pretty sore right now, but I think it might be just a tweak and he'll get over it in 10, 15 days, so it might be a little more than 10. I saw some things on, some person missed 8 games, another one missed like 20 games. So I'm thinking it's going to fall between 10 and 15, and there's no reason to rush these guys back. There really is. There really isn't. So I do not blame Aaron Boone for putting Judge on the DL when Judge comes out and says he feels 100%, and he was begging the Yankees not to put him on the DL. But guess what? Don't go to your manager and say, I'm feeling a little sore right now, and then you kind of get checked out and you see something kind of might be wrong with your calf, and then a couple of days later say you're 100%. I mean, you can't do that. Aaron Boone is going to be very cautious, especially when the top 2 teams in your division get into the playoffs anyway, and it basically looks like a lock at this point. So I do not blame Boone for putting Judge on the IL list when you have Mike Tauchman, who's just hits. All he does is hit. He gets hits left and right. You have Frazier come up, who's raking. He hits the ball extremely hard every time he's at bat. He's got, 2 or 3 homers already. And there's no reason to rush Judge back when you have those 2 guys in the outfield.
No, you really can't. And I'll be honest with you, Lou. You made a good point, obviously, and we've been preaching this a lot. Is just this depth of this team is remarkable. Anybody can come off that bench and provide an immediate spark to this lineup. I mean, finally, Frazier is getting a legitimate chance, and he's not messing up.
He's not going back down again.
And he better not go back down again. He is unbelievable. I've been a huge fan of him ever since we got him in I believe it was the Andrew Miller trade way back
yes.
when. From the Indians. His bat speed and the way he crushes the ball, I mean, he puts the bat in the ball and with authority, too. His fielding has improved already. I've seen him make a few good plays. He made a nice one today, a little sliding catch and right. And it doesn't even feel like this team misses Stanton, LeMahieu, or Judge. I would be completely fine with this lineup. Hypothetically, obviously, knock on wood, none of those guys would ever come back again. But even with those 3, I mean, that's almost half of your lineup.
Yeah.
Gone.
It is.
And arguably the 3 best hitters on the team out of your lineup.
Yep. I mean, with
Every
Glaber,
days.
That's what, and now, those guys go down. Obviously, you see the guys filling those spots well, but then guys who are slumping starting to turn the corner a little bit here. Torres is getting more hits. I'd like to see a homer thrown in here just to see his pop being back, but he is hitting balls harder. Then you have Gary, who homered in 3 of the last 5 games, having better at-bats, liking to see that from Gary. So getting those 2 guys going with Judge down and LeMahieu down and Stanton down, definitely going to help. Definitely helps, and definitely what you need to see right now. But even LeMahieu out, right? Let's give Gio a day off. Let's throw in Estrada at third base. What does he do? He hits a 400-foot homer tonight. I mean, it's remarkable. It really is. It really is. It's like last season all over again.
Yeah, it's just like I just said. It's amazing that every guy can play. I mean, Mike Ford didn't even.
We
play
didn't talk
today.
about Ford. I mean, Ford, and that's so tough with Ford and Voit and Frazier. One of those guys are going to DH, and the other one's going to have to sit. You can't have Ford, Frazier, and Voit in the lineup at the same time. It feels like with that's when Judge comes back and LeMahieu comes back. It's going to be much harder to have those 3 guys in the lineup, but. I mean, you got Mike Ford photos of Babe Ruth, which is hilarious. It's awesome to see. You can kind of see how similar it is. I think the only thing is Mike Ford's his right hand, I think, is extended, and Ruth's is a little more bent in the photos, or his left hand. His left hand's more extended, and Ruth's is more bent. But the photos are still funny, and the comparison's great. Because, Mike Ford hits these moonshots, and he's awesome. So, I mean, you have Voit and Ford that are going to... And you play... And Voit had 2 homers tonight. Voit hit 2 out of the yard tonight. I mean, it's just... Everybody on this team's going to produce, and that's what you love to see.
That's exactly what you love to see. I mean, it is a dream having this team right now.
Yeah,
the depth, I cannot wrap my head around it. Every single guy can play, and would be a starter on any other major league team.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Even Estrada really would get a shot on most teams.
Of course.
After being shot in Venezuela, he still hits bombs.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know what, Lou? I mean, go back to, I'll just say, 2015. 2016. Think about how not even bad they were, over 500, but 2013. I'll say. Think about how far we've come in 7 years.
Right. I mean,
it's just amazing with the Vernon Wells of
and with Lyle Overbay.
Overbay, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Was it really?
And now look at
Lyle.
I swear to God, yeah. No, I mean, no disrespect to those guys, but come on.
Kendry Morales was a Yankee last year. Don't forget. That's funny.
Don't forget.
The only person that didn't have the next man up mentality.
Yeah, no. He was next. He had the next man down.
Really?
Keep the bench warm. Yep.
But yeah, they come a long way.
They've absolutely come a long way. Absolutely.
Yep.
And rightfully so. I mean, Brian Cashman is a genius. Their scouts have done a phenomenal job. I mean, this Luke Voit trade, come on, a year and a half or 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
It's just remarkable. Like, talk about a diamond in the rough.
You're signing Gio for $25,000.
Gio. Yeah, that obviously trumps the Voit trade.
I could sign Gio for $25,000.
We could split it and be very comfortable.
But yeah, I mean, a reason like that where the Yankees are where they are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Depth is the name of the game in baseball, I think, more so than any other sport.
Yeah, and the
next man up mentality.
Trading Chapman for Torres. And speaking of Chapman, to get him back, and the Yankees have him off the COVID IL list. He was activated today, and he got in the game in the 9th inning. 2 strikeouts. He hit 101, and he didn't walk a guy. That's fantastic to hear. Absolutely fantastic news. He did allow 1 run. He let up 1 hard hit ball, triple over Aaron Hicks's head. That was the only real damage. See, then a bloop single got him in. But I don't really care that he gave up the run. Everyone's more interested that let's see his velo, and his velo, he was hitting 100, 101, and the control. The control was there, and he looked yoked. He looked more yoked than usual tonight. But
yeah, I mean,
yeah. So the good news, a good outing from Chapman. I mean, you'd rather see him do that than allow no runs but walk 3 guys.
Yeah,
I'd rather see that.
Yep, 101 to Devers to end the game. 101.
Yep. What you like to see, and he buckled them on a curveball before that. Devers couldn't pull the trigger.
I'm watching the replay right now. He looks weird with no long sleeves.
Yeah, he looks yoked. He looks more yoked.
Wearing long sleeves,
right?
Yeah, I think that's why.
He wants to look bigger.
Has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
unbelievable. That's
great. But I mean, I think that's it for the Yanks talk. Are we missing much right now? We covered everyone on the IL and covered everyone that's been hitting when they're not. when those guys are on the. I mean, things are just looking great for the Yanks right now. And guess what? This is the toughest part of their schedule. They're almost done.
Coming in.
They're almost done. Once they finish this series with the Rays, and then they have I think the following week they play the Rays again. So after that Rays series, it's the Blue Jays, the Marlins, and and Baltimore with one series against the Red Sox left on that schedule. And the Yankees 10 straight wins over the Sox.
Yes. And undefeated at home, don't forget.
And still
10-0
undefeated at home. Yes, 10-0 again.
Yes.
10-0 at home and 10 wins in a row against the Red Sox. 10's the magic number
Exactly.
tonight.
And I mean, Lou, we touched upon even when the schedule came out how easy September was going to be.
Right.
I mean, you do have the Mets here the next 2 weekends, starting at Citi this weekend and then Yankee Stadium next weekend. You have the Rays. I mean, this is arguably going to be their hardest series of the season. I'll go as far as to say that as of right now, up at home, starting tomorrow. But I mean, they have the Mets the next 2 weekends and then the Braves, but then the Orioles, the Jays, like you said, the Orioles, the Jays again, the Sox, Jays, and Marlins. I mean, come on. Come on.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Yep, so good things for the Yanks. On to the Mets. Psych, we have nothing for the Mets. They're not a good baseball team. We really don't have anything to say. They go out and they sign Billy Hamilton and they do a bunch of things. It's the same old Mets. There's really nothing to talk about with the Mets. Really not. I mean, Alonso's not having a good year. You could kind of say that. He had a fantastic rookie season. And you might see a little sophomore slump. That doesn't mean he's a bad player or anything. But you might be a little too high on him from that rookie season. So Take a step back. He is still a great player, but maybe you've seen his best season. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe in a couple of years from now he'll be better. But, Alonso really hasn't hit in that hot streak or anything like that. But the Mets just same old Mets. They're made Lugo their closer, but I really don't see much from them.
I agree.
So
I agree. And it's going to be another suffering season for Met fans, but they can't say they didn't see it coming.
maybe they'll make them believe for a little bit. Maybe they'll get hot, and then they might win 9 of 10, and then they'll think they got a chance, and then fall off. But
It's something they do every year.
yep, same old Mets. I don't wonder when that
Same
flip
old
is
Mets.
going to change. That script will change.
Exactly. When they get new owners.
Yeah.
Well,
Them and the Knicks.
that'll be it. Them and the Knicks. Lord knows they both need it.
Yeah.
That's it for tonight. Thank you again for joining us. We'll be back next week.